Hello guys, welcome to my channel again. This is Hamoudi from Bilu Media, and today I have the SpeedyBee Bee35 drone. It's a new drone. I am building it before it is launched, and I will release this video once SpeedyBee will launch their product. It's an amazing frame. It's a 3.5 inch Cinewhoop. It's really good frame, and they thought of every detail you will see in the video in a moment. I have a review. I will link the review in the description below. And today SpeedyBee, thank you very much. They provided me with a complete build. So they gave me the SpeedyBee Bee35 frame and the SpeedyBee F4 Stack Mini. It's a really wonderful stack for this kind of build. I really love it. It has 35 amps ESC, and it's really great for this. And they gave me also the DJI O3 unit and the AXIS flying C206 1960 kV. It's a 6S motors. I will be using this with the China Hobbyline 1050 battery, and maybe the 1400. I don't know if it is heavy for this build. I will see. The China Hobbyline provided me with those batteries as well, so thank you China Hobbyline. And I will be using the Betaflight Nano RX. This is an ELRS receiver, and for the receiver I will be using the Radiomaster Boxer. I bought this as a backup for my other controller. This is the Radiomaster TX16S Mark II Max. This is an amazing radio controller, but I had some problem with it. I solved the problems now, and I bought this only as a backup, the Boxer, and I will be using this since I want to try it a little bit and see how it works, and I will be traveling, so this is why I will be using this one. And I love how it looks. I really love how it looks. And I will be using the GoPro 11 Mini just for demonstration purposes, since the O3 is already very good. I don't think I need the GoPro for this drone, only if I am doing a commercial job where for backup I will be recording on this too. These are the components for building the drone, and together with these I have some tools. Some of them are mandatory, so you can build your drone, and some of them will help you a lot if you buy them, but you can live without them. So let's try with the iron. You have to have an iron, and I really recommend this guy. This is the Miniware TS101. Thank you Miniware for providing this iron for my projects. It's really amazing iron. You can connect it to a LiPo battery. I have an adapter, so you can plug it to your battery, and you can plug it to the outlet as well, and an external battery. So it's really nice on the field. You can use it anywhere. And the Miniware ES15. Thank you Miniware again. This is an electrical screwdriver, and I love this thing. It's really very nice, and I love the most about it that you can press and twist, enable to power it on. So it has a motion controller, motion detector, motion sensor inside, and together I printed those cases for protection and to keep my stuff safe. Flux, this is a really nice thing to have. It helps you a lot with your soldering. The soldering sticks really good if you apply this. a cutter, a plier, and these are magnifier glasses. They help a lot with small components. It's really nice, and it came with a box with a lot of lenses, so if you want to get further away or near the components. The smoked stopper, this is really mandatory, guys. I really recommend you to buy this kind of stuff, this kind of thing. If you don't use it, you risk frying your components, your flight controller or ESC, if you bridge a pad somewhere and you don't know about it. And with this guy you prevent this from happening, and it detects if you did something wrong and you can correct it. And this is really nice thing to have. My first builds I didn't use something like this, but after I bought it my life is really much easier with this guy. This is helping hands, and you can move these things around, and here you can mount your flight controller and start soldering. This is really nice thing. And hot air blower, this is for heat shrink tubes. So this is all what I am using. Let's build the frame and start building the drone. What I love about the SpeedyBee products, that they have really clear instruction to build their stuff, and this is no exception. Here you have a clear instruction, and if you follow this instruction you will not have any problems at all. And the screws, as you can see, everything is labeled, and you have exactly what you need in the bag that you need it, so you will not have any problem with this. So first step, I want to attach the motors and the ESC to this plate. This is the upper plate, so it will be easier for us to install the other thing. What I love about this build, that you install everything here and after you attach it to this, and the O3 will attach to the bottom, so it's very easy to build it. Let's attach the motors. For this you have a bag with screws that is labeled with motors for the screws for the motors. This is how it looks like for now. It looks amazing like this, even like this. I like it. So now we will put the ESC. The ESC, as you can see here, it is labeled. This is motor number 1. It's the back right side. So if the drone is facing forward like this, this is the motor number 1, and this is 2, 3, 4. So we will put the ESC like this, but from the underside side. You can flip it as well, but you have to reorder the motors, and I don't see a good reason to do this. So I will put the ESC right here in the middle. You have, as you can see, 20 by 20 holes and 30 by 30, and I think these are 20 something, I don't remember, but these are for normal stacks, 30 by 30, and these 20 by 20 mini stacks, which is really great. Provided in the kit you have the M2 screws for this. And one another thing that I love about SpeedyBee products, they installed the grommets for you, so you will not have to get dirty with mounting those, but because this is really hard and you have to use dental floss and keep fiddling around with those, and it's not easy. And I really appreciate these small details, so good job SpeedyBee. And I will mount the bolts, or I don't know how you call it, bolts, so they will not fall like this. just for securing them down a little bit for the first phase. Okay, perfect. So now what I want to do is to cut the wires and install the motors already, and the capacitor and the battery lead. I will use thicker cables for the XT60 connector. In the kit here you have an XT30, but as this is a 6S drone and I will use the 1050 milliamps from China Hobby line, this has a big an XT60 connector, so I will put an XT60 connector. You can do it with the XT30 and put an adapter, but I will put it directly with this. And if I will use a smaller battery, I have 600 milliamps batteries. With XT30 I will use an adapter built, I did it myself too. So let's prepare the pad and install the motors. I want to install the capacitor now. I will remove the screws a little bit because I want to come from under to keep it cleaner, and I have some protection here to put on the feet so they will not bridge with the carbon plate or something here. So it will be something like this here, and I will bend it like this. So this is the -1. I took it out so I can solder it easier, and I put the protection over the capacitor. So let's put some flux. It's a good idea to put flux because it will stick better. I will put here too. And I will solder it and bend it afterward. So hit the pad. And now we can bend it carefully. Like this. Super. Let's put it back into our frame. Be careful to use the screw that is provided in the frame and not in the stack, because the one in the stack is a little bit longer and will not fit correctly. After you install the O3 Air Unit, it will not fit, so make sure to use those instead. Let's cut our wires and start soldering them. For this I will put back the bolts here so the ESC will stay in place. Let's put some zip ties here to be sure that everything is okay, and we will not cut the wires too short. Perfect. So it looks like this, organized, and now we can start soldering our wires. They will come something like this, and I can cut it right here. Now we have the wires cut to length. We have to strip them a little bit and start thinning them. This means that we have to put some solder on the tip so it will be easier to solder. Now we can twist the wires a little bit so they are tight and nice. It's a good idea to put something here to protect the ESC from the soldering that may fall when you start soldering. Now the next step is to put some solder on the pads and start soldering the wires one by one. It's time to solder the wires, so I will grab one by one and start soldering the wires to the ESC. So you have to press it gently. And like this, it will stay in place. Really easy. Now it's starting to look as a drone and it's really clean. You can make sure that nothing is bridging in this step, and it looks like it is really nice and nothing is touching. It's time now to put the battery lead. So now the hardest part is to attach the wires to the ESC. Because they are a little bit thick, it is harder to solder them, but you have to be patient and it will work. Perfect. It looks amazing and it went really good. So now we have this in place. One thing, if you see that it's not heating up and not connecting, you can add a little bit of solder on top of it and it will melt instantly almost. So this is a little trick that you can use. Now it's time to connect the DJI Air Unit to the flight controller, and for this, since I'm using ELRS receiver, those two wires belong to the S-bus to the RC2 from DJI, so you will need to take them out, because sometimes if you leave them, even if you define the UART, another UART for the receiver, it still makes problem, and you don't want this, believe me, so take it out. If you are using the RC2 from DJI, don't take it out, leave it here. Perfect. So the wire looks like this. We have to cut it because our flight controller doesn't have any plugs, only for connecting the ESC here. so we have to solder on top. This is fantastic iron gun because it heats very fast. I mean, in 5 seconds you are ready to go, even in 3 I think. Now we have to prepare our pads on the flight controller. So if we look at the scheme, here we have the plug for the DJI Air Unit, and here we have 9 volts with 2 amps I think, which is plenty enough for powering this guy, and ground T1 and R1. So this will be connected on UART number 1. So let's prepare the pads. We put some flux here and we start preparing our pads. And now attach the wires from the DJI. Let's prepare the ELRS receiver. So we have the heat shrink here and the receiver itself. So I prepared already the pads here because I used it in different build to test it out, but the basic is the same. You have to put some solder on the pads and that's it. And now we should prepare the wires as well. Now let's connect them to our receiver. First one is the ground, and the second one is the plus, and the TX, which will be connected to the RX on the flight controller, and the last one is the RX. Now we should put the heat shrink inside, so we will not forget about it. Now we prepare to solder this receiver to our flight controller, and we should prepare our pads. And if you look here, we have the receiver hooked here, so to T2, R2, 5 volts and ground. So first one is the T wire, which is the RX from our receiver. And the second one is the R2, which on our receiver is the TX, and the 5 volts, which is this one, and the ground. So it looks like this. Now it's time to put the flight controller on top. And we have this arrow pointing the front of the drone, which is this one. So I will put it like this, and I can close it up, put the screws. Perfect. So it looks like this, which is amazing. And now we can prepare the other side of the drone, and we will start with the air unit. This is the cage of the air unit, and it sits here. Here you have an opening for the USB like this, and you have this cover that you put on top. You have some small screws, and now we have this cover. It's the SpeedyBee logo, I guess, and it looks very nice. It's a TPU basically, and you have 2 screws here to tighten this out. We have to take this a little bit out because I have to take the antenna in order to connect it to this TPU. This is, here you put the antenna, here you put the GPS if you want, and here the ELRS antenna, and here you have a USB plug, which is really nice, so you will have access to the flight controller from outside. You will not have to open it out. I took the antenna out to mount it here. Perfect. And we bring it down with all the wires. So this is the prop guard, and this thing will come here like this. And you have a standoff, this one, which will go here. You can put it before, maybe it's easier like this. And here you have this adapter which connects to this one, and you can connect it after to your flight controller. In my case it is a USB-C connection, but you have another cable with USB normal, I mean micro USB I think it's called. So if you have a flight controller that has this plug, you are covered. Let's connect now our DJI camera. For this you have two CNC machined pieces, and you have dampening pads here for the DJI O3 unit camera, and this is a little bit softer and this is harder. I will use the softer one, the yellow one. This is the exterior, and this simply plugs here. These screws are a little bit short, so we have to take them out, and you can find in the kit longer ones. These are the longer screws, and these are the old ones, so it's a little bit longer. So this DJI camera comes like this here, and the other screw here for controlling the angle, and we have this standoff that is between them. Now we mount the other side, and you can see that we can tilt the camera up and down, which is great. Now we are ready to mount the camera on the frame, on the prop guards. So we have to take it like this and put it here, and for this you have two screws to mount it from the bottom side. And the camera is mounted now, it's ready. And now we can close it up step by step. So this part is from the bottom. Now we can connect the antennas inside. It's a little bit tricky, but we can do it. Now we are ready to close it. We can put the screw here for the standoff that we put already. And here we can put the remaining 3 standoffs and put the remaining 3 screws. This is really nice because this is metal, all of it, and it acts as a heat sink to the air unit, so the air unit will heat up in more time, which is really great. I love this touch, and it's effective and nice. So this plug will come right here, Now we have this plug to put on our flight controller, so we have access to it from the outside, and we can plug our antenna and heat this. So now we should be finished, guys. Only we have to organize the cables. And now we are ready to mount this gimbal. I don't think you get this gimbal, you get the normal one in the package, this one. And if you want, you can buy this one. And this one comes like this, and it has 4 screws, taller ones that come in the front. I love how they thought about these openings, so you can screw the screws really easy. It's really smart. This one here, it's really smart. You can put it like this, and you can mount the battery here and here, which is really smart. I think, let me put the battery and see how it fits. I think I will mount it like this, and the strap looks very nice. I love how it looks. So we will put it like this here and like this. So in this way you will not touch the electronics, which is really smart. You have a different plate for attaching your strap. So here, as you can see, it's a thinner plate that you can mount all your electronics. I love SpeedyBee, how they are thinking of all the details, really. If you look at their products, all the products are amazing. And now we can mount our battery without any problems, like this, which is really nice. Perfect. Now it's time to cut the wires for the XT60. I think this is enough. Now it's time to mount the XT60, and we start thinning the wires a little bit. It's a good idea to put an adapter here, extension actually, so when you heat the pads, the heat will be transferred through this and not damage the connection. Now we close it up like this. Perfect. And it is ready, guys. Finally we did it. Finally we did it. I can't believe this is really great drone. I love it. I love how SpeedyBee has attention to details. This CNC where you can mount the camera, and the USB-C here. Here you can see the USB-C. Another thing is this access to the flight controller without having to open the drone, which is really nice. And another thing, when I looked at this, I thought, oh my god, how the hell I am going to bind my goggles to the DJI Air Unit. And I thought they are really looking at the details, and this can't skip. And if you look here, it's hard to see. You have a little opening where you can push the button to bind your goggles, which is really nice. I mean, I can't believe they thought of everything. and it looks amazing. I love how it looks. It's a 3.5 Cinewhoop, and this thing, this touch where you can mount the battery, toilet mode, toilet, I don't know how you call it, toilet, yeah, you know what I mean, like this or like this. I chose like this because it looks a little bit better if you want to use the GoPro here, and the gimbal looks amazing, and I really love it. I really like this drone. Now it's time to test it out, guys. Don't forget to use this guy, because if you did something wrong you will regret it and you will fry something. Let's put it and plug a battery. I have this battery here. Ready? Guys, I forgot to connect the ESC with the flight controller. Don't do this, please. Don't do this before closing it. Let me do it really quick and get back to you. Let us see how much the drone weighs. The drone alone, it's 327 with the gimbal. With the props, 337. And with 1050 milliamp battery, it's 521. With the GoPro, it's 683. And with the heavier battery and without the GoPro, so this is 1400, it's 565. Okay, perfect. Next step, guys, is to bind it to our goggles, to the goggles 2. And for this we have to activate the air unit first. They left an opening here so you can connect the cable without any problems. You don't need even angled cable, an adapter or something, so it connects without any problems. Now you have to download the Assistant, DJI Assistant 2 consumer version. So not the FPV version, the consumer one. And now if you see, the drone is detected. We click on the drone and you have here a start activation button. You have to be logged in your account. As you can see here, it's my account, so you have to log in your account so the activation can take place. Start activation. This is my email. Confirm your account. Activating. So this is it, and you can see that we have the latest version here because we don't have any version more. Now we disconnect it from our computer and start the binding process with our goggles. For this we have to plug in a battery, of course, power in my goggles. You have to switch to the DJI O3 Air Unit if you are in the Avata menu or the DJI FPV one. So switch it to the O3. I am already on the O3 since I did another drone before. And now we have to plug in the drone. And you have simply to press this button. And on the DJI Air Unit you have a button, and they made sure that it is exposed, which is really nice touch. If you can see here the red LED, near it there is a button. You have to press it. Now you see it's connected, and as you can see here we have an image. So this is me waving to the camera. Now we head into Betaflight to do some configurations. Next step is to bind our receiver to our receiver here to the radio controller, to the radio master, an ELRS protocol here I have. So for this you have to download the Express ELRS configurator, and here you select the version. It's the latest version right now, 3.3.0, and device category I have the Betaflight, the Beta FPV 2.4 inside, and the device is the Nano RX. This one I have. Select Wi-Fi, and here you have to put a custom binding phrase. So this is the one that you will have here too. So you will have to flash the same version of ELRS into your controller too, radio controller, and hit build. After the build, you see we have this here. We have to unpack it, and we have the firmware.bin. And now you have to plug a battery into your drone and leave it for about 40 seconds so the receiver will enter the wireless mode. It will start blinking fast or change color depending on the receiver. Now if you can see, it's blinking very fast. This means that it enters the wireless mode, and here you have to go to your wireless network and you can see Express ELRS RX. You connect to this and a window should pop up. You can go into your browser as well and type 10.0.0.1 and you will be directed to this page. You hit update here and choose a file. I have it on my desktop and this is the file. Hit open and update. And now if we power the radio and power on the drone again, it should bind in a second. As you can see here, there is 3 dots. This means that it is bound. Now let's head into Betaflight to do some configurations. Here you can see the version of Betaflight. Let's update it to the latest version, and you have to go here, release and release candidate, and choose a board. So we selected the Mini, hit load firmware, and now flash firmware. Now it's flashing. It's erasing actually the old firmware and flashing the new one. Okay, successful. Now let's connect to the new firmware. This message pops out, apply custom defaults, and we hit apply custom defaults, and here we have some error messages that we will deal in a second. First one, we have to calibrate the accelerometer and reset Z-axis and X-axis. And now let's see if the drone behaves as intended. I mean, if we tilt it forward, you see it tilted forward, to the back as well, right and left. So this one is correct. Let's head to the port tab. Here our serial RX is connected to UR2, which is correct, and our DJI is connected to port number 1 actually, and not 4. So we will put this one, save and reboot. Configuration, it's 8 kHz speed loop. We can name the craft B35, and arming here we select the 180 because this means that 25 degrees, if it is tilted more than 25 degrees, it will not arm. And here we go to the air mode. The air mode, I want to switch it from my receiver, so I will turn this off. I will show you in a moment how. And here RX lost and RX set, we turn it on, save and reboot. We go to the presets tab we have O3 preset, this one, and we select the port that is number 1 in our case, and we choose pick. And here we select the whoop. Here we select medium and 48 kilo ESC PWM settings, and pick. Agree and save and reboot. Here in the motors tab you have to select protocol, and I will select the D-Shot 300 and bi-directional D-Shot, but for now, since I'm running the BL Heli S, I can't do this, and save and reboot. Now let's test the motor if they are working. We have to plug a battery for this. And here, as you can see, all the motors are spinning. Let's see if the motors are spinning in the right order first. So this is motor number 1, this one is spinning the correct one. 2, this, okay. 3, this, and 4, this. Now let's see if they are spinning in the right direction. So this one should spin like this. Let's turn it on. It's correct. Motor number 2 should spin inward, which is correct. Motor number 3 it's spinning like this, so it's correct. And motor number 4, it's spinning inward as well, so it's correct. If your motors doesn't spin correctly, then you have to go to motor direction here and press here the wizard, and here you can see the motors and they start spinning, and you select the one that is reversed and you close this and everything is okay. Let's go to the receiver tab and define our protocol. Here you have to keep it serial, and here, since we have a ELRS, we will receive the crossfire protocol since it is the same protocol, and save and reboot. Now, as you can see, if I do the throttle, you can see the throttle moving here. This is the roll, this is the yaw, this is the roll, and this is pitch forward and pitch backward, which is correct. So here we are finished, and now we go to the modes tab. The modes tab is where we define our switches. First of all, we have to define our arm switch, and here I have this one as an arm. So if I switch it like this, you see it is changed to AUX 1, which is correct, and I have to move this bar to the small dot. This means that now it is armed. I mean, when you flick this, the dot will go away. When you flick it back, it goes and stays in this range. This means it's activated. And
angle mode.
This one is angle mode, and this is angle right here. Add range, and it detected as AUX 2.
Angle mode.
And it is in the correct range. After we have the beeper. My beeper is right here. So if I click it, buzzer active. But the dot is in the right side, so I need to move this to the right side, like this. And now the air mode, since I told you I want to activate it via switch and not activate it all the time, we hit add range and we flick this switch, air mode, and I need to move this to the left side. And last one is turtle mode. This means that if you crash and you are upside down and you want to flip it back, you turn the switch on and then you do the yaw, no, not the yaw, the roll or the pitch forward and backward to recover. And this is flip over after crash.
Turbo mode on. Turbo mode off. Turbo mode on.
Now it's on, so I need to move this to the right position and hit save. So now if we plug a battery, now it's connected, and if I flip the arming button, the drone should arm.
Armed.
As you can see, it is armed, and I can activate the motors. And here in the OSD we can define some useful information, so we see it in the goggles. This is the warning, which is useful. And another thing that I like to add is the battery average voltage and the battery total voltage. This is very important. I use all the time the average per cell voltage, because you know when to land. When basically I land when my voltage is around 3.5 volts for the LiPo battery. And here I can add the RSSI signal. This means the connection with the remote controller, the radio. RSSI value, this one, and I can put it here so you can see the signal. And I like to add a timer so I know how much I have remaining, and the angle and the mode basically, which is the flight mode. Let me see where it is. Fly mode. So this basically shows you what mode you are in the drone, and hit save. And here in the PID tuning, since we selected the preset, it's already done for us, so we'll not mess around here. Yeah, so this is it all, guys. This is the basic setup that you have to do for the drone to fly. Let's put some props and battery and go fly it. This drone is amazing. I mean, it flies like a beast, and it has no jello at all. I'm using the ND8 here, and it flies amazing. I managed to squeeze 6 minutes and a half with 1100 milliamp battery. I really love it. It has no jello effect at all, guys, at all. I mean, nothing. Really amazing drone, and I'm really happy about this.